I await a worthy foe. Is there anyone in this alliance worthy enough to face me? Refuse, and this world will burn. finish this myself.
Oh yeah, we're doing it. Zuck is coming. Thank you, Enkaro, for the incredible revealer. And hello to all of you. Welcome to the Elder God Wars final front reveal. And this is going to be the introduction to the Tekha front. Over the coming stream, we're going to dive into the sewers of Sentistan as we hit the final desperate stand to save Gielinor. Now, today we have a huge ensemble of JMods joining us because we've got a lot of awesome stuff to show you. We're going to start today by giving you some gameplay and the rewards up first, and then we're going to follow that up with a behind-the-scenes look at what it took to bring Zuck to life, and also what it took to make the amazing environment of this fiery front. So, I'm going to get through this as quick as I can. Please give me a warm welcome. Give everyone a warm welcome. First, Mod Ryan, Principal Content Developer on the Tekha front.
Hello.
Mod Sponge, Junior Content Developer on the Tekha front.
Hey everyone.
Mod Blackwitch, Environment Artist on the Tekha front.
Hey everyone.
Mod Jack, Senior Game Designer and Narrative Overlord for the Tekha front. Zekha, sorry. There you go. And more importantly, am I muted?
No.
Who's muted? Someone's muted. Oh, Jack is muted, apparently. That's strange because we could hear you on the production side, so I think I don't know what happened there. Still muted, production. Right, I'll continue with the. We'll come back to you, Mod Jack. And in her stream debut, please give a warm welcome to Mod Sofan, character artist for the Tekha front, Zekha.
Yeah, hello. It's my first stream, so I'm a bit nervous, but I'm excited and it will be fun. And honestly, I'm super happy to have had this as my first big project because I like Zuck from old school.
And I hear you almost leaked Zuck to the world.
So, when I was going to post my first weapon on Twitter, the Armadillo staff, I prepared the preview, like, oh my god, look, the new dice, and then I was like posting it on our work chat Slack, and like, okay, I'll post this, and then got the message from Mod Blackwitch saying, it says Zuck in the corner, it says like Sal Cal Zuck work in progress in the corner and not Armadillo staff, so that would have been like a huge reveal, and I'm so happy I can say that now, because it was funny but not funny. It could have turned out badly, but we don't speak about it anymore.
Okay, so yeah, well, at least today you get to properly reveal Zuck, and we're going to get into the game nice and quickly here today. So can we switch into gameplay kind of view with everyone on this? Okay, so we'll start here in the cathedral just very quickly. So Mod Jack, every front we've seen the battle for the fate of Gielinor becoming more and more dire for the defenders of Gielinor here at the cathedral. Where are we in the story at this point in the battle?
I guess, can anyone hear me? I guess I should check if the chat can hear me before I do like a monologue.
Yeah, can everyone?
Yeah?
Let's check.
They can
yes,
hear me, right?
okay,
Brilliant.
good.
Okay. Yeah, so things aren't going well in the God Wars dungeon. There's been 3 attacks so far by the forces of Jas and Wen and Vic that have pushed the defenders right back to the cathedral, and they really don't think things can get any worse. But they are about to get worse. The 4th Elder God that we haven't heard anything from so far is Full, and Full actually we knew a bit more about than Vic and Wen. She appeared in the finale of the Quest Desperate Measures, and she's also been known to have a strong association with the creatures known as the Tokar, who've been in game for a long time, in fact since before the Elder Gods were added to the game. So obviously we're expecting that since she's the only Elder God that actually has an army already, presumably that army are going to come in. We saw the Tokar quite recently at the Battle of the Monolith, where they were soundly defeated and driven away. So I guess we should probably go and have a look at the Zekha front and see what's going on.
Yeah, so yeah, let's see where this front is. Hang on, that's strange, isn't that out of Sentistan, Mod Jack?
Maybe just heading north.
Okay, so wow. So for those who don't remember, you may have even seen us teasing this a little bit with a subtle in-game hint over the past week or two. There used to be a nice little fountain here, if I recall, wasn't there? Well, Jack, what's happened?
Yeah, it's the Tok'ra can dig. So yeah, they did say they were coming from underneath.
Yeah, and obviously the supply lines are now cut off. We saw all the boxes usually being carried through here to supply lines, so it's not looking good. Before we go any further, you may have seen our teaser where Zuck kind of addressed all of you and told you it wasn't the Tok'ra you'd be facing. So why don't we roll the cinematic and give people a taste of how this front is set up?
I am Zook. I have been a chieftain, a gladiator, a warlord, a demigod. I was born into a world where all were free. Then the Empire came, conquered my people, threw me into the pits. I was to die there. Nothing could challenge me. Demons, dragons, and vampires fell to my blade. From the great tribune Torva, I won back my freedom. I went in search of worthier foes. Beneath a distant volcano, I found the ultimate arena. The Tok'ra, who shaped the mountains at the dawn of time, battled endlessly. They fell all the same. They called me Tzakal, champion of the fire, the first outsider to defeat them all. For my prize, I claimed the Elder Kiln itself. For centuries, it changed me. I became undying. Like Tok'ra, I am born again within the kiln. Unlike Tok'ra, my mind is my own. The God Wars called to me. The Tok'ra would not follow, but the lava beasts would. We carved through the weak surface dwellers effortlessly. It was only Bandos himself who stopped me. Coward. He chained me within the kiln. When Full needed an army, she had no use for the failed Tok'ra. They were remade, artisans reforged into soldiers. Now they are the Tzek'ha, united in purpose. They serve without question, mine to command. Full wants the eggs, but I pay no heed to her desires. I seek only the glory of combat. Is anyone in this alliance worthy? Refuse me, and your world will end.
So, obviously, I think the question on everyone's lips is we have Skal Zook. He's an old school character that people know. So, what's going on with that?
He's got a slightly different backstory in Old School, and we discussed this. So Mod Ed is the Old School developer that wrote. He wrote most of their lore, and he wrote the Zuck lore for Old School, and we've been discussing it with him from the start. So in Inferno, you go meet this Tsar called Zar Ketker, and he tells you about they've got this big egg chamber, and there's this monster in it called Zuck. So the way that we're interpreting that is that when the Tsar were breaking through trying to find a new egg chamber, what they actually found was the Elder Kiln itself, which doesn't really it's not currently depicted in Old School. And when they found Zuck, they just assumed it was one of their creations that had gone crazy. So we've built this larger, more complex backstory for him to give him a bit more of a speaking part, because he's kind of depicted as a wild animal in Old School. So we think of it as being in the same continuity. Whether Old School want to go with that, or whether Old School want to tell a slightly different story, that's kind of up to them. But we've got this version of the character for RS3.
So now let's just go into the fiery depths, just whilst we ask this question. Mod Ryan, I know you also played a huge part in our decision to introduce Zuck to Gielinor, to our version of Gielinor. How did this even come about together? Like, how did you kind of go about making this happen?
Yeah, well, mine's a different approach. Like, of course, looking at old school, we know how like powerful Zuck is as a character, an established character within the story of their game. For us, it felt like a no-brainer to some degree of like Zuck should be Fool's champion. But also, you know, I just thought, like, on the side point, I just thought it was an awesome idea. I spoke with Jack about it, and we kind of went into, like, you know, I said, like, here are some cool things I want to try to do. Like, this is how I feel the character, you know, progressed from where he was, because you would have seen in that cutscene, like, he wasn't always like he is now. And yeah, I discussed it with Jack, and we to be honest, it was a big back and forth. Like, what do we want from the backstory? How do we want to get to the character that he is today, because his character now, spoilers but not spoilers, his character represents like how he is in the fight that he has for you. And yeah, you got like a nice bit of backstory in there, of course, as well about Bandos, which, as you can see on screen, as our resident showcaser, Mod Ramen, is showing for us. Just because we're here, you can see Grador is there, all beaten up because well, he tried to take on Zuck, right? And Zuck very much told him exactly how it is and put him in his place. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's most of the stuff that I think is worth mentioning at this stage. Obviously, we've got a lot to get through, so I'm more than happy.
Yeah.
To
So we're actually going to show some gameplay of some of the wave-based combat today, which we're really excited to do. Just before we do, we kind of go around the sewers here. Why don't you set this up for us? Let's drop the gameplay details here. You know, what are the headlines you need to know about the Zekar front?
Yeah. So I can talk a lot about like the design direction, which I think is really interesting to know, of course. So originally I was working on this project, and I set some aims for where we wanted to go. And then partway through, Mod Sponge jumped on and has been like thrashing through and making it the best thing it can be. But from a top level point of view, without going into too much detail, as with all the other fronts, we wanted something different. And of course, as most people are familiar already, we have the Tsar and the Tokar in terms of the fight caves, the fight kiln, and now we have. This doesn't have a name like that. It's called the Zekar front, right? It's not called like the fight something. But we really wanted to try something different. So I'll talk a bit about it now. But of course, like, we know that the fight caves and the fight kiln, for example, they are mini games. They're safe death. Zekar front is not. It is an actual boss encounter. Therefore, if you die, you will head to Death's office unless you die on the week of release. And also, we know that like the length time that you spend within fight caves and fight kiln, and we know what that means. And those sorts of bits of content as well are the sort of thing that you might do once or 3 times for your capes and kiln and never again. So we wanted to make sure that this was some content, like as a boss encounter, you felt like you wanted to repeat, just like your other bosses from within the all God Wars, or just any of your your bosses over the recent years. So we put a lot of focus into making it feel like something that you really want to achieve. You want to try to get some fast times. In terms of the length, really depends on your skill, I think. I'm not going to say how long it's going to take, because there are players out there who absolutely demolish my ability in this game, so I wouldn't put a time on it. But also, we wanted to stick true to what players are familiar with of course, like the fight caves and fight kiln being wave based, and having they kind of own the cape slot. So as you saw in the trailer, we wanted to keep that here. And something else we really wanted to look at, like what we learned from looking at release of something like Kerapak, that when you're engaging in this content, we know that you're going to fail. That's just it's meant to be hard, and we don't want you to feel like you've committed a long period of time and then you've lost out. So we've treated this bit of content quite like what you'd consider an elite dungeon, in the sense that as you progress through it, you will earn loot which stores up. So if you fail, you don't completely lose out. It's sort of like in terms of that sort of progression. And yeah, I think that's probably the most high-level view to give at this stage before we start talking a bit more. I don't want to jump ahead too much. Yeah, I'm more than happy if you want to move through.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into all the details now. So just one thing I want to touch on very quickly. We've got an amazing showcase at the end of from Blackwish and Soften on the art and the creation of so much of what goes into here. But just whilst we're here, Mod Blackwish, this is another gorgeous environment from you and the team. I know we're going to go into that detail we talked about later, but quickly, what was the main thing you really wanted to achieve with this environment other than lava, which I think is obvious, but...
Yeah, just plenty of lava, that's it. And no, it had to feel like it properly escalated, right? This is the final front, and all of the other ones are great in their own way, but it had to feel like this is like almost the most dangerous one, and that it really feels like things are not going well. And yeah, what better way to do it than just like put the entire sewers of Santistan on fire?
Awesome. So, and we are right into it now. So, we're going to not show a couple caveats quickly on what we're showing here. While we're going to show you a few of the waves, we're not going to show any of the more critical surprises that we want you to have to learn and master yourselves on day one. We're also not going to show any of the showdown with Zuck himself today, because obviously, again, we want to preserve that day one experience. But Mod Sponge, I'm going to come to you. Why don't you take us through what makes this experience different to past wave-based fights like the Fight Cave and Kiln?
Yeah, sure. I think Mod Ryan covered a fair amount of it. Like, this is, I consider it very much like an elite dungeon. So you see Mod Ramon's there just slapping up minions. He's gaining loot right now. You just can't see it. He's got it filtered. But the Zekhar are very, very similar to the Tokhar. However, these are fighters, not builders. So they do have some combat upgrades, let's say. So, as an example, I don't want to kind of go into everything. I want players to figure out a lot of it, but I think 90%, if not all of the minions, have some kind of special ability now, or something that makes them more unique. You might have seen an example earlier when Mod Ramen was running out in the sewer chamber. One of the Med was doing something funky, so you might have seen that. So it is very much harder experience, while still kind of staying true to its origins in the Fight Caves and Fight Kiln. There are a few extra challenges whilst you're in here, let's say. I don't really want to go too much into what they are, but essentially, Zuck's not just going to kind of sit there and do nothing the whole time, right? So he's going to get, let's say, involved, and offer the player some kind of challenge. I'm not going to go into what they are. Players can figure that out. It'll be funny seeing how players die. Zuck himself, it's not Zuck from Old School Inferno. He is very much a different boss. We've taken inspiration, but he is very different. He's going to slap you about with his sword. He's not just going to stand there behind a wall. Whilst we take inspiration, we want him to be a fully fledged, hard, unique boss. So you'll get up to Zuck. You'll probably die a few times, but we've added checkpoints. I think Ryan mentioned this earlier, but we've added checkpoints for this kind of purpose. So you can get to Zuck, be like, cool, I've done that, and now I can keep dying, but keep coming back to Zuck until I kill him. Much like Elite Dungeon 3, you get up to Ambassador, you die, you can just go straight back and try him again.
Sorry, Sponge, don't mean to interrupt you quick.
Yeah,
Whatever
go for
you do, please do not go to wave 4.
Yep.
Do not finish this
Yeah,
wave.
don't go to wave 4, Ramen.
Yeah, let's not go any further.
Just back out of the wave and rerun. Just to make sure you don't go to wave 4. So I'm sure many people out there are actually probably really thrilled to hear about checkpoints in something like this. There may also be some people out there who feel like that it devalues maybe what made the cave and the kiln special. How have you balanced that? How have you approached that, Mod Ryan, in the way you kind of designed the system?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think, I briefly touched on it earlier without mentioning checkpoints, but we learned a lot from actually the Carapack release as well. Like seeing what people enjoyed, like the difference between normal and hard mode, the difference in, like the length of the kill and stuff like that. We also know that not everyone, Elite Dungeons as an example, some people will run the full dungeon in one go, and then other players don't. Sometimes as well, just different levels of skill. So we wanted to make the update accommodating for everyone. So on the checkpoint front, we believe it's important to have in this sort of thing because we want you to feel like you can take part and fail and continue. But of course, we do have extra things for, if you can do it without using checkpoints. And also, of course, we have a hard mode, which, just checking my notes to make sure we're okay to reveal this. But,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the time to read it. So
I mean, sorry, I'll go. In terms of unlocking hard mode, I know some of you have already seen it because Ramen had it on screen. But to unlock hard mode, you do have to complete the entire thing without using a checkpoint. You have to complete a flawless run. There's a bit more in it. We're not going to go into details, but you have to complete the whole thing to unlock the hard mode of the encounter. And then the hard mode encounter itself doesn't have a checkpoint except for pre-Zuck. So you have to go all the way up to Zuck, and that's your only checkpoint. Whereas in normal mode, the checkpoints are split a lot more spread out.
And
yeah,
obviously, oh sorry.
No, go for it.
I was to say, having a hard mode, I know is going to be music to the ears of a lot of people there, though they got their sneaky preview a little earlier. Sponge, what's different about hard mode other than the checkpoints that Mod Ryan just described?
It's harder. So enemies will have better stats as a start. As Mod Ryan said, there's only the single checkpoint. Loot is better, including the chance to get a piece of Zuck's sword. And if you go flawless in hard mode as well, you get the right to wear the best cape in the game.
Yeah, cape's confirmed. You probably saw it a little bit in the trailer, and we're not going to keep you waiting any longer. So now that you have a little feel of what the wave-based experience is going to look like and some of the unique mechanics in it, let's run through all the rewards. And I think the first thing we need to start with is that insane sword. I don't think that's what has been started with. Ramen, read the script. Ramen. Maybe it's not on there. I don't know. Ramen's bouncing around.
Straight overridden as well.
Oh, he's got his cosmetic overrides on.
Unbelievable.
We're doing it live, everybody. This is what happens when you do it live. Okay, so yes, Mod Splash, do you want to introduce us to this new Tier 95 weapon?
I suppose. So this is the X-Zek kill. It means something in Tsar. I'll let players figure that out. Big effing sword, basically. Tier 95, as we said. It is an obsidian weapon, which means the Berserker necklace does work with it. And it has a special attack. The special attack, Igneous Cleave, it hits for a chunk of damage and then also puts a bleed on the target. This bleed hits pretty well, and the damage it deals increases the longer it goes on. But also, every time the target is hit by another bleed or a burn, the bleed extends up to 5 times. So you're going to slash at this thing, get it bleed in, and then you or your teammates will use more bleeds, more burns, and this is going to be a big bleed, like doing mega damage. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers the sword.
And you said how many parts it takes to make it, right? You were talking about getting parts from hard mode.
3 pieces, very much like Ambi. You'll get them in an order, depending on which one you start with.
So I think we can't talk about any sort of, fight kiln-esque content, obviously in a very different style. We mentioned a little bit earlier about this too, the best cape in the game, and you can't do an experience like this without it. So there's actually, and you probably got a glimpse of this in the trailer, 4 of them, right? Do you want to start showcasing those for us, Ramen?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to walk us through these, Mod Ryan, or?
Yeah, so something, of course, as people are familiar with from the kiln, there were 3 capes: the magic, the mage, the range, and the melee capes. So we focused on recreating that here, to have one for each style, and also you can see from what Raman's showing you, the same colors, so the green, the purple, and the red. And yeah, so this cape requires you to have completed normal mode, I believe, without any checkpoints. to gain the item required to upgrade the capes from the kiln. So you still need the kiln cape before you're able to obtain this one. So you have to combine them together. Do you have, Raman? Do you have the final one? We will talk about them in more detail in a second, maybe. And here is this is the combined version, which is you must complete the hard mode encounter flawlessly to be able to combine all 3 of the capes to basically create the hybrid version. So this is the cape to wear, and it requires you to. I know I just mentioned it, but just to you must have completed the entire encounter flawlessly in hard mode. So
a couple of people in the chat were asking. A couple of people in the chat were asking for clarification on exactly what flawlessly means.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, flawlessly means no checkpoints and also something else, but it's not really worth trying to discuss because you don't know the fight. So yeah,
But basically, don't die, right?
Basically, complete it. Basically, show Zuck who the real, the real fighter is.
Well, Guardian is. Yeah. Awesome. And obviously these have, I know there'll be a lot of people out there very eager to know exactly what kind of stats and anything else these capes might bring. Are you able to run us through those?
Yeah, if possible, Raman, could you mouse over each of the capes, starting with melee, or okay, you can hover over the max one if you like, and then Sponge, if possible. Would you like to talk over these ones?
Yeah, sure. So me and Ryan very much talked about these, and initially it was just going to be a stat upgrade, but that's boring. So instead we decided to give them a stat upgrade and some effects. So people in chat probably already seen they have 43 offensive stats, but they each also empower an ultimate ability for their associated style. As an example, melee, it reduces the adrenaline cost of overpower and causes it to hit twice. So that's a lot of damage. Magic boosts Omni power by reducing its cost to 60% and causing it to hit 4 times at reduced damage. And then the ranged cape has the same adrenaline reduction for Deadshot. However, this one causes it to deal more damage and extends the duration of the bleed it does. So they're, I'd say, pretty spicy. They do a fair amount of damage, and I'm sure players will enjoy that. The combined cape is a hybrid version of all of them. Has all of the abilities of all 3. So if you're in any kind of hybrid content, you don't need to change, and it just looks sick.
Yeah, it looks so awesome. I definitely need that for my fashion escape. And speaking of which, actually, Sofan, I know you brought these to life. I think it's always intimidating to mess with like the kind of skill cape of the game when it comes to combat, and following up capes that are very legendary for their look. How was that to work on, especially this final one, which is like the ultimate one to earn?
So this cape was actually very fun to work on, and it was we had this, as you can see, both the sword and the cape has like this theme of the idea of, so the concept artist is Mod Fox who did this, and absolutely awesome concept artist, and the idea with the igneous rocks is for it to, we made the idea of it like the rocks is shaping as if they've been pulled out out of lava, so you can see that theme in both the cape and the sword, and that's the idea. But also we also decided to keep the capes wider, because I know there's been a community, how do you say it, that the community has been wanting to have wider capes again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no. I love working on both the cape and the sword, and
very cool. And actually, I'm going to go a little off piste here because I know you have them in your inventory, Raman. Sofan, do you want to quickly talk through? We're going to show the concepts of these later, but do you want to talk through some of the dyed versions of these swords? I'm going to give you a little debut right now.
wait,
Sorry to put you on the
isn't
spot.
we gonna show the dies later?
We were going to, but I think since they've kind of been leaked in in the inventory here. I think we can probably just quickly give a quick preview here.
Do you have the image then? Because I posted an image. Can we get it on screen then?
Oh, can we bring the image up? Sorry, we're just seeing if we can bring up.
Okay, so dice for the new sword, and let me know in chat which one's your favorite, and also if you staff want to say who's your favorite too, then by all means.
Seeing a lot of love for Shadow.
Shadow's the best. It's insane.
That's our day.
Do you know what?
That's my favorite
I'm
one.
weirdly into Barrows. Barrows, the kind of sickly green look, is apparently my thing. Go figure.
We're saying our favourites, not the ones we can afford, yeah?
I can't afford any of them, so I'd be out straight away. 20 mil doesn't get you far. Yeah, lots of third age, lots of Shadow.
My 5-year-old will look at this list of swords and point at the black one and go, "Daddy,
Shadow
Daddy,
on
look!
Ice.
Daddy, it's for you. It's black."
And I know
Oof.
that a lot of people has been mentioning this as well, why the ice one looks so different and the others doesn't. But that's because it's ice, so like it makes sense to have the whole. And we've done the same for the when it's ice on ice, but for the Armadillo staff to make it actually look icy, to have it like kind of ice material overall.
Really cool, and thank you for going off piece with me there, Safan. I just thought, like, since they've been leaked, we should show the people what they want. Now, there are a few other rewards that are from boss-related drops that we're going to share today as well. Sponge, do you want to run us through some of the things that you also find unique to this front when it comes to the boss drops?
Yeah, of course. Can we get Little Zuck up?
He's ready to go to school. His first day.
So Little Zuck is obviously he's like action figure version of Zuck. He's ready to beat up some
so
goblins
cool.
or something. Yeah. So that way, you can go up to Zuck with Little Zuck and your sword, and you have the 3 sides of the sword. Can we get the prestige as well, if you're able to show that? I really like the prestige. It looks like he's got into the Cheetos, which I really like. There you go.
Oh wow! I hadn't seen the prestige yet.
Really nice skin for him.
Very cool.
He's got his own dyed sword as well. So yeah, that's Zuck, Little Zuck. The prestige for him is not as drastic, obviously, because this is wave-based content. Like 1,000 kills is pretty extreme. So the prestige for Little Zuck is 200 hard mode. I want to say. I think that's correct. 200 hard mode.
Yeah, chat saw it in the UI as well. Apparently, despite the fact Raman's not on stream and just driving for us, Raman is getting all the debuts today.
Yeah. Then also up, we have Magma Tempest. If you've got that unlocked, Magma Tempest is a new 2-hand magic basic ability. It's a point and click ability. So players will use the bladed dive. This is similar, where you target an enemy or a tile, and
So
essentially
just to interrupt. We didn't mention. I don't think the ability was mentioned in the trailer. So you just mentioned it as like a passerby comment, but the chat.
Yeah, he just drops the hot news.
Yeah, it's hot news. Yeah, exactly. So this, you target a tile or an NPC, and it essentially lights up the area around it. It creates a 5x5 zone that over 8 seconds, over 9 seconds, just over 9, it'll hit everything in that 5x5 zone up to 8 times. It deals high damage. However, if the target moves out of that zone, it stops taking damage. So it's kind of risk reward. If you're against something hypermobile, it's not going to do much. But if you're against something static, it's going to be a big ability to go to.
There you go.
You're going to see
there it is in action.
That's just going to light up that area. Yeah, and that hits 8 times for, I think it's like 5 to 25%. So it's a big basic.
And also for all of you, just before we go on to the next thing, just so you know, all of this information will be contained in a blog straight after the show as well. So those specific numbers and details are all in there, if I recall. So if you didn't catch it there or didn't screen grab the tooltip, we'll have that there too.
Yeah, I'm seeing some questions. That's a basic. Some people like threshold question mark. And then the final item that Zuck can drop is the Scripture of Fool. This is another Elder God book. Similar to previous books, there's a 6.6% chance of activating on hit. I've updated the tooltips for these, so they should all now tell you the correct chance to hit, including the last ones, because I know there was some confusion between players on how often they hit. This, when active, when it triggers, it will increase the player's damage by 20%, similar to Berserk, but causing you to take 10% more damage for the duration. So it's like a mini Berserk essentially. Pull into that kind of Berserker theme that Zuck has. And I think that's it for Zuck's drops.
It is, and also just to reconfirm, just in case we weren't clear, what are the hard mode exclusive drops on what we've showed? Just to be absolutely clear for chat.
From what we've showed, the sword is the hard mode exclusive along with the combined cape. The standard capes are upgrades to your kiln capes, assuming you do the run without using checkpoints. And everything else is just you killed Zuck, here's a chance at loot, you can get the remainder.
Yeah, and there's one other last big piece of loot that I think people are probably not going to be expecting. So remember that Pontifex ring you've all been working so hard to upgrade? Well, in this front, it's going to be finally fully upgradable. And Multipliers are going back to you. You are the rewards person of our front streams usually. Do you want to take us through what that means?
Yep, so obviously this is the fourth front, so you can fully upgrade your Pontifex ring. So essentially now it gives another buff to the Elder Troves that players are used to. These Troves will now be able to drop Quiver Fragments. Alongside this, players will now be able to overpower their Pontifex ring, which will allow them to have the benefits passively without wearing it. And maybe we should flick back to what I said a second ago, because I'm seeing some Quiver Pogs in chat.
Yeah, that was the plan. So Quiver what? A sponge? What does that mean? What?
With this update, we introduce Pernix Quiver Fragments and the Pernix Quiver. Pernix Quiver is what you want if you're ranging now. This is a brand new quiver with 2 ammo slots that will automatically swap to match your range style. So if you have a bolt and an arrow in there, when you switch to a bow, it will use the arrows. When you switch to a crossbow, it's going to use the bolts. And we're going to give you a nifty little ability that lets you swap between them as well. So if you have 2 sets of bolts in there, you can just tap an ability and it'll swap. And then the quiver also has a passive effect, whereby the max damage of your range abilities is increased by 4% against targets under 25% health. The quiver
I think made a lot of range
100
players out there very
fragments.
quickly.
Sorry, yep. The quiver uses 100 fragments, and you get the fragments from tier 3 troves with a fully upgraded ring. You have a chance to get some.
Yeah, and just to check, you can earn those fragments on any front as long as you have the Pontifex Shadow Ring in an overpowered state, right? It's not a full front exclusive, right? It's a weird way to put it,
Correct.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
As long as you have a fully upgraded ring, you can get it from any tier 3 troves.
Well, Ryan, sorry, you wanted to jump in with something.
Raman is already showing it, but you can see here he's showcasing that when you have the quiver equipped, you gain access to 2 abilities that allow you to ultimately swap between ammo slots. We automatically swap it, as Sponge mentioned, like if you're using a bow and then you swap to a crossbow from bolt to arrow. But at the same time, we also know that players like to swap bolts in combat. So you have abilities that you can either put on a bar or press from the book itself.
Mm-hmm.
Just
one more
and just
thing
a couple
quickly. Sorry, just fucking butt in. I'm seeing some people asking if you can have multiple quivers. You can. However, when you unlock a quiver, it becomes untradeable. You can have multiple. It just means you'll have to buy multiple, and then you can't get rid of it.
Cool.
Yeah,
I also saw a question. Oh, sorry. You go.
Go for it. You go.
I was just say I just saw a couple questions quickly on this. By the way, we're going to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the show. We're grabbing as many as we can. We just have a lot to get through today, so that's why we've been kind of saving it to the end. Can you dye the quiver?
No.
Not
and then
if it's a common thing, We're expecting these to be pretty expensive. If it's a common thing, it's definitely something we can add.
Right, and then Vexium123 asked, Def Week, yes, there will be a free Def Week with the release of this front, like we've done for the previous fronts. Okay, so that is a heck of a lot of stuff we've just shown. Thank you very much to all the team for sharing us and running through that. Like I said, if you have those questions, please do drop them in the chat. We'll try and get to as many as we can at the end. Now, Sofan and Blackwish have been waiting so patiently for their moment. Thank you so much, both. They have lined up an amazing kind of behind-the-scenes making of this front, where you're going to get a look at not just how the environment came together, but also how Zuck himself came to life. And I think you're going to really enjoy it. So, as I said to both of you, thanks so much for waiting. I think it's a good problem to have so much content that it's a long wait. But Blackwish, I'll come to you first. You know, we've seen this beautiful environment for the last 20 minutes. And it's a bit of a stunner. How did it come together? Do you want to tell us your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, I should definitely say that it wasn't just me who worked on it. This was definitely, like, yeah, we worked on it with a group with Mod Reed started on it with White Box, and then me and Mod Alex helped to get it finished. So yeah, main thing was, as you can see with this whole, we really wanted Santistan to feel more damaged with this. Like with other fronts, we've added extra people fighting, extra defenses, like a clear story progression in the different fronts, like coming closer to the cathedral. But this one is probably the first one that has like a big impact immediately as soon as you enter, because it's just like right at the entrance. Also, sorry to the one person in chat who said they love the fountain there. Very sorry. But yeah, you go to the next concept slide. But yeah, it was decided quite early on that it should be in the sewer, because there's just something about it. Like, a sewer is definitely not supposed to look like this, and just like if places look slightly different than what they're supposed to, it's just like very uncanny and unnerving, and I think it comes across like really well with this. If you could go to the next one as well. And yeah, we just wanted a bit of a progression within the environment as well. Like the closer you get to Zuck, like the more lava there is, the warmer it feels. Yeah, in general, just lots of lava. But yeah, if you could go to the work in progress images. So yeah, it started out with quite a rough white box. It went through a few different stages. At this point, it already had gone through quite a few different stages, as this is pretty much the final layout that we settled on, which in the end was a tiny, like a little bit influenced by like the Mines of Moria and Lord of the Rings, with like the big pillars and like the light from the Balrog coming through. That definitely came into our minds while working on it. Yeah, it was challenging to get it to. If you could meanwhile slowly get through the other images as well. But yeah, it was challenging to make it feel like a big space that you could fight Slayer creatures in, but also make it feel like a sewer that's already like very deep underground. Because Santistan is already underground, and this is then even further. And yeah, we wanted it to feel just like, yeah, pretty much like torn apart by lava. It was quite challenging to do that, because basically a lot of this kit was, well, it reuses all of the same materials and stuff that we had from Santistan, but we had to just like smash out so much new kit for this, because we didn't have any of this yet. But it came together so well. Yeah, if you could go to the arena one next. Yeah. I think at first for this the plan was as well to reuse like existing lava that we had from other projects, but yeah, it's when you saw the concepts earlier, like it just had this really warm, saturated feeling to it that we just could not achieve with that. So we kind of just gave ourselves a lot more work by completely remaking new lava materials, which was a challenge, a lot of work. But it came together quite well. It was also interesting to try and get the feel of having it move, like that there's some movement in the material while we can't actually have moving materials on our terrain. So that was an interesting issue to encounter. But yeah, also
cool.
just with like, sorry, what were you gonna ask?
Oh no, please go, because we work with a bunch of latency on this remote setup, and it's so annoying because I feel like the rudest person ever. You please go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one of the things as well, I think we kind of set ourselves up for this as well with the Glacier front specifically was, we wanted this really cool shot of to frame the boss, and now we need to have that for every single environment that has a boss in it afterwards. So yeah, it's for this we really wanted Zuck pretty much to be on a throne that is just kind of made out of rocks that he probably just came into and just like, I don't know, hit the ground with his sword and just got some rocks to come out. But yeah, we wanted to frame him, so that's why you have like the big triangle behind him, and like the lava falls around it were just like very last minute, and the smoke as well, even more last minute, because that is just a particle that we already had that somehow worked perfectly with the lighting in here. Like that light that you see in the smoke is painted into it. It's not actually like being affected by our light. It was just a miracle that we had that. But it all came together so incredibly well.
That's really cool. I love all those last touches just sneaking as well. And, you know, it has come together so beautifully. Was there ever a time we considered doing this like up on the city level, like still underground, I guess, but as you said it, not like less underground than it is now? Or did we always know it had to kind of have that enclosed underground feel of past fight-esque experiences?
I think as soon as we started planning out St. we kind of knew that it was going underground, because like every other front has its corner already prepared for it. Like the bridges to the other fronts already existed when we released the quest, because it was already planned that they were going to be there. But for this one, again, I think it's just part of the escalation for it that Zuck and this front literally comes in and just smashes a hole into the plaza. It all came together so well, because like for the last few fronts as well, more and more NPCs, storage and stuff got added to that plaza just for the sole purpose of them blowing everything up when this front arrived, which is very dark. But
it is really interesting to think that people will never see, well, unless they go on YouTube now and everything, kind of once we release this on Monday, they'll never really see that version that was there before, unless you're in the City of St. quest, but never with that kind of feel of people coming and going. Like, you kind of had to be there, right? It's interesting to evolve the environment like that.
It really is, and it's almost a little bit sad that a lot of the work we're now kind of destroying for ourselves. But like you said, there is a version of the city that you can see in the quest that will always be there, which is so incredibly empty if you now compare it to the version that we have now.
Interestingly, a lot of people in chat I don't think caught our trailer at the end of it. Yes, we probably should have said it on verbally as well. Yes, this does come out Monday, by the way. You are only a few days away. 6 days, I guess. So yeah, it's coming soon. We will run that trailer again at the end as well. Okay, anything else you want to say, Blackwitch, before we come to Sofan and her awesome showcase as well?
No, it's already running quite late, so I think we should just move on to Sofan and get her to show all the character art.
Well, thank you for bringing all this amazing stuff. And Sofan, I will come to you. Hi, yes, as you were saying, we are running a little late as well, so thanks for that, Blackwitch. Now, Sofan, you've had a huge part in working to bring some amazing concept art to life, including Zuck himself, which I'm guessing as an RSR fan is even more intimidating. You literally debuted his feat. Would you like to run us through this amazing show you've put together of all this content?
Yeah, first of all, I'm gonna give you all a quick run through on how to bring a boss in RuneScape to life. So first of all, the idea is tackled by a concept artist, and in this case, ModFox did this awesome concept. And honestly, like as an old school fan, as Holy mentioned, and as I mentioned at the start, getting to tackle this boss as my first big project in RuneScape, it's been a blast, honestly. So yeah, this is the awesome concept by ModFox for the Zuck and his sword. So if you can move on to the next one, we can see the concept art for the cape. And as I mentioned before, we wanted to keep this theme of the igneous rocks being formed, like the cape being formed by lava. And yeah, next one. So this is the first thing you do is to make a high resolution sculpture of the boss, and you make it in a T-pose, which you've probably seen online. Like usually if you see a game character, you see it in a T-pose. You do this to both make it easier for yourself to make symmetrical details, but also to make it easier for the animators at a later point. Another reason that you do it in high resolution is because it helps you when you create the textures. This is way too high resolution to use in a game though. So if you move on to the next image, can we have the next image? Oh, thank you. So here is what I just mentioned, but in one image for the sword. So first to the left, you can see ModFox concept again, and the next step is the high resolution sculpture, and to the right, the final rendered low resolution version of the sword with textures. So you basically take the high resolution, project it onto the low resolution, and put colors on, and do some magic. Okay. I hope you all like them anyway. Yeah, I hope you like them. And next image, please. Here's a quick turnaround of this rendered sword.
So good. I'm all in on this sword. I want it so bad.
You gonna kill Suck then?
Yeah. No. Or have a lot of money probably.
Okay, it's getting a bit extruded on stream, but can we have next image, please? Yeah, and so this was originally. Wait, what did you say? Sorry.
No, nothing.
Oh, okay. So this was originally going to be shown now, but we showed it earlier too. So you'll see the dice again. Cool. Use it for your favorite fashionscape, your favorite color. Next one, please. And this is a video, so you can play it.
This is probably my favorite of all the things you bought. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, if the video plays, there we go.
So yeah, here's a little preview I put together of the final version of Suck. So it was so much fun to work on this boss, honestly. I'll say it again. So yeah, this is the low resolution post with rendered version with textures on, and I hope you all like him.
There's a lot of love in chat and people wanting figurines of this. Yeah, like
Aww.
+1 me on that. I would definitely get that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have the chat turned off right now because it's my first stream, so I'm a bit nervous. But hearing that makes me so
There's
happy.
a lot of love,
lot of love
hearts,
all of you.
lots of compliments.
Aww. Yeah, next one, please. So yeah, here's another one. Just some image I took of in-game. You can see the comparison of the big sword, the player sword, and the little schoolboy ready to go to school. His little sword too.
Non-canon text in the right top corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we have next image? This is a zoom in that I did just for fun. So yeah, don't mess with me and my son. And if you're lucky, you can get his little pet as a drop. If you can kill Suck, that is. Yeah. Well. So yeah, next image or video now. So after, thank you. So this is the animation, and after you do the T-pose on the low resolution version, at the same time as I do the textures, the model is being handed over to the animators, and in this case, the animation is done by a collaboration between Outsource, Mod Haku, and Mod Wing. And this is one of the. I'm gonna show you 3 animations, so we can move on to the next one. He's stabbing. He's gonna stab you. Okay. Next one. And that's the last one that I'm gonna show. Super good animations. Honestly, like, I'm so proud of everyone on the team, like how this turned out, like the environment, the animations, and the gameplay. Like, it all looks so good. The video as well for the voiceovers and the music. But yeah, the rest of the animations you'll get to see in game if you can get to Suck, that is. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
And thank you, Sofan, for coming on stream for the first time, but also showing us all your and the team's work here. We hope you all enjoyed it. We've never really been able to do this all in the same stream. Obviously, we have to be kind of spoiler conscious and not show too much, but hopefully you've really enjoyed this. And just thank you very much, Sofan, for all that work you did in bringing this together. We do know we've lost Black Witch. We're hoping to bring Black Witch back. Her internet dropped, unfortunately, so we're just in a bit of a holding mode, but we are going to go to Q&A. Now, I know Ryan's been grabbing a bunch of questions from chat. We also have a bunch here from the community folks who are watching that we're going to try and answer. There's one I want to hit with you straight away with, Ryan, before you go into the ones you've already grabbed, which is, can you confirm if this is a solo boss, a duo boss, a group boss? How, just confirm for definite what the content is for everyone.
Yeah, so it's a solo encounter. That's it. Solo.
Cool.
Easy.
All right, Ryan, do you want to hit your questions that you'd already gathered, and I'll hit you with some more?
Go for it. Okay, so I gathered a ton of questions from the chat. I'm just going to rattle through them quick fire. Sponge is going to help me answer some of them. But yeah, so Q&A section. It was asked in the chat whether or not there was the ability to cycle through the quiver ammunition, as opposed to just being able to pick, slot 1 or slot 2. There is an option when you have the quiver worn to cycle, so if you put it on your bar and press it, it will cycle the ammo. It's not safe death. It's not safe in normal or hard mode. It is a regular boss encounter. If you die, you will go to Death's office. There are no requirements to enter. That was asked. The only requirement so you could turn up at level 3. I don't suggest it. You will die. But if you can get the igneous stone, then you require a kiln cape if you'd like to create the new best in slot cape. Obsidian armor, Sponge, asking about whether or not the obsidian armor works.
It does in some ways. I believe the helmets are only against lava creatures and Tsar, so the helmet damage buff thing won't work on Zuck himself. Everything else is fair game.
Cool. No tier 95 range keeps coming up in the chat as well. Yep. So there's no tier 95 range with this release. I know there is a degree of it. It's expected because we did magic and then melee, but it's not necessarily how the design of our game, where we want to take it and what we want to do with it. So yeah, that's all I can really say at this stage. But there is no tier 95 range subject. Someone asked, is there Jad? Is there Jad? Yes, you will see Jad again. You will also, I guess if you ask yourself, in the fight kiln, did you see Jad? Yes. So you saw the previous boss. So in this one, you might also see our favorite Huracan returning. So on that note, Sponge, I don't know if you wanted to add anything there on Huracan.
I mean, Huracan got upgrades. I think we can go with that. And like with Kiln, Jad's killed in the Kiln counted as Jad kill count. Aken's killed in here will count as Aken kill count. And should I reveal that? Yeah, okay. Aken can also give you Shrimpy in here as well if you roll it. So you don't have to go kill a billion Akens anymore.
Awesome. And a question I saw as well about the sword. Does the sword count as halberd style? What style is the new sword? Does it have range essentially beyond
off the
a
top of
tile?
my head, I believe it's one range / weapon. I think.
I saw some. Okay. Yeah, you go. Right.
I got some more on my list. Yeah, go for it. There's a question, something about checkpoints. So just to clarify, if you use checkpoints, you will not gain a kill time. What this means is that if you would like to have a kill time that you can quick chat, you have to do it from start to end. If you replay from a checkpoint, there is no, as I mentioned, no kill time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the fastest, of course, the kill times are across the whole thing. And then there was also some comments asking about the common drop table, asking about what sort of drops they might contain and whether or not it's full of alcohols. We won't tell you specifically what's on it, but Sponge might be able to elaborate a bit more on the actual drop table itself.
Sponge hate alcohols. That's about what I'd say on that. Sponge hate alcohols. So it's a bit more variation than that.
So there's something some people asking going back to the capes. I saw this in the context of like it basic questions on do you have to use the same style to get the relevant cape from this one, and also the previous capes had quest requirements. Why doesn't this one do? Technically, I know they're all the same answer. So you want to run us through how you get these capes in case people missed it earlier?
Yep. To get these capes, you have to complete the normal mode encounter or hard mode. It kind of works top down, without using any checkpoints to obtain an item known as the Igneous Stone. This item can be used to upgrade the kiln capes. The reason that this is the requirement is we didn't want to put a hard requirement on doing the content, because the content itself, as with all the other Elder God Wars dungeon bosses, we would like we would like everyone to be able to take part. And also there are other rewards inside of this boss encounter versus, say, for example, the kiln, which just has an onyx and the cape. You do not need to use a specific style. As long as you can complete the encounter, you will be awarded a stone. The stone is not tradable. It is used to upgrade the capes. You will always get a stone every time you complete it with no checkpoints. So you may be asking, but then I'm going to have 50 extra stones in my bank. What do I do with them? You can disassemble them. That's what I'll say on that at the moment. What was your other question? Sorry, there was another one there, wasn't there?
I know you got it. So so just to confirm, you get the Igneous Stone. You can't trade it. It's 100% drop chance in the ways when you do what you said you do, and then you use those on whatever cape you have from the kiln to upgrade it. Right? You don't have to use a specific style to get a specific Igneous Stone. It's just one stone and apply to any of the kiln capes you already have. Right?
Yep, 1 stone, 3 capes, and that's it. Yeah, and if you want to combine the capes, then of course you need to do the kiln 3 times to get the 3 magic range and melee. Then upgrade them all, and then use them to combine them. And no to the chat, just to put the rumor out there aren't any new perks. So when I said I'm not going to say any more, there's just nothing too interesting to tell you about disassembly value. But there aren't new perks. There's no new component from this Igneous thing. It's just so that there's other uses to it. You can disassemble it, and get some good components.
I know this is a really hard question to answer, and we may not have a good one because it's the same thing as how difficult is this. But there is a lot of questions in chat about one, how many waves. I don't know if you're willing to reveal that today, but the other thing is how long it will roughly take. And I know we kind of touched on that earlier. Is there anything you want to say on that, just to check that there's nothing we can say or anything that might kind of allude to anything? Or I know we're trying to protect the experience and not kind of set expectations to be where they shouldn't be.
It really depends on your skill level. I think that there will be players out there who no doubt stream it on release and make it look like a cakewalk, but then definitely normal mode. For what it's worth, normal mode and hard mode are quite different in terms of difficulty, as you'd expect. I don't have any specific, numbers I can put on it. It will take you a while, but we're not looking. That's it, actually. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm going to get quoted on something otherwise.
No, it's okay. And with all credit, there's a reason we don't usually answer these, and I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything that we'd missed earlier. It was the same with the difficulty question. We wouldn't do it. I kind of put you on the spot there, so sorry for that. But it's one of those things where we don't want to set your expectations wrong and kind of make a misstep, because we have done that in the past and we've learned from it. Are we releasing the number of waves today, or are we keeping that a mystery as well?
I think we can. We can. Is that going to cause a
trailer?
I don't know. No, I just said waves of combat.
Okay.
What's chat? Does chat want it? Does chat want it? Just give it a sec.
I tell you what, if chat can guess, here we go. Chat need to guess.
Chat can guess. Yeah. Chat can
guess.
Oh
no! Now every number under the sun is going to land.
As long as I see the number I'll give them a clue. It's less than the current. It's less than the kiln and the fight caves. We're not focusing on.
Oh, I've just seen it. I just saw someone did get it. Yeah.
All right, I'll believe you.
I might butcher it because I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 16 and then Zuck.
17
is that correct?
Then Zuck.
17 then Zuck. There you go.
So thanks to someone writing 16 and Sponge misremembering.
Yeah, someone
you just got
it wrong.
You just got your.
You just got your. Right, 8 more waves. Screw everything.
Yeah, but yes,
awesome.
18 waves. The Zuck encounter, just to clarify a bit as well, it's more. I think if people are familiar with fighting Jad quite literally, has 3 attack styles, and that's it. And Hurakan has some tentacles, and you kill him. That's it. Zuck is not like that, so he is the final wave, and that's as much as I can say.
Cool. Thank you as well. I know chat was really psyched to hear about that as well. Is there either a safe death, or can you tele from the new kiln?
You can teleport out. So if you wanted to, actually, that's worth clarifying. Actually, there are checkpoints in normal mode at certain points. This is an example, so don't quote me. But like, say for example, there's a checkpoint at 2, 4, and 6. If you were to teleport out on wave 5, for example, when you re-enter, you'll be back at checkpoint 4. So you can teleport out whenever you like, but you will always go back to the most recent checkpoint on re-entry.
Awesome. Any other questions you saw that you want to touch on? Because we are out of time. Is there any you've seen that you want to make sure we ask ourselves from the chat, or is that about it for us today?
You've covered all the ones I wrote down.
Okay, I'm gonna leave with one last one then, because I know this was something that I immediately asked. Are there deals?
No, there's something
No,
probably equally annoying. I'm sure Mod Ramen is screeching behind the scenes. There is no deals.
No deals. They weren't strong enough to ascend to. Ascend's not the word, but to be reborn as Zekar.
They just exploded when they went through the kiln.
That's my headcanon for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to end, especially the deal breaker pun. Nice job, Donta. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you to Mod Ryan, Mod Sponge, Mod Blackwitch, Mod Sofan, and Mod Jack. A lot of effort went into pulling the stream together from a lot of people. So thank you to everyone involved. Thank you for watching. This content will be out, the Zekar Front, on October 25th. That is on Monday, so you are only 6 days away from the final front of the Elder God Wars dungeon. For now, we're going to leave you with an outro of the trailer, and until then, see you on Monday for the final fight for Gilinor's fate. See you soon.
Thank you.
I am born again in fire. Beneath Sentistan, I await a worthy foe. Is there anyone in this alliance worthy enough to face me? Refuse, and this world